This is Michael Popok, Legal AF. Donald J. Trump, convicted felon. You like the sound of that? That's how the Biden team is going to roll it out. Should there be a conviction of Donald Trump in the New York criminal trial next week or the following week? Now, Joe Biden has been dignified about all this. He hasn't commented on the criminal trial. He hasn't done daily press conferences. You don't see him out in front of bicycle racks giving statements. He doesn't talk about it on the campaign trail. But according to his campaign, according to the White House, they are prepared to break their silence regardless of the result or the verdict. Because, let's face it, we've got an adult as a president and somebody who's dignified occupying the White House. Particularly if Donald Trump is convicted, not by Joe Biden, not by hacks for Joe Biden, but by a jury of Donald Trump's peers in Manhattan, consisting of 12 people, 7 men and 5 women. If he's convicted of misdemeanors or more likely felonies, the way the case is arranged, 34 counts of felonies or 1 count of felony, then Joe Biden, or if he's exonerated, if he's found not guilty of any of those counts, or if there's a hung jury, whatever there is, Joe Biden is prepared to address the American people, not from the campaign trail, not campaigner in chief, but as president of the United States, to calm the nerves of people once and for all. If it's a conviction, he'll say that the justice and the criminal justice system has worked and people have spoken. If there's an exoneration, he'll say the criminal justice system has worked, and he will accept the results. That's the thing the Democrats are good at. We accept the results of what the American people rule upon in a verdict or in their election results. Whereas you can't find a leading Republican who will say that they will accept the results and the outcome of the 2024 election. Not Elise Stefanik, not Marco Rubio, and certainly not Donald Trump. But Democrats do. Al Gore challenged the outcome of the election for as long as he could, but when he lost, and he transitioned power to George Bush. Joe Biden, from the White House, is going to accept the results that these 12 American citizens came up with as part of their deliberation. Now, if it then becomes a conviction, then the campaign arm of Biden is going to go with, I assume, based on reporting, is going to go with labeling Donald Trump convicted felon Donald J. Trump. And that's appropriate. Joe Biden didn't do it. The people of the city of New York elected Alvin Bragg to be, in an election fair and square, to be the district attorney for New York County for Manhattan. He then, through a grand jury process, indicted Donald Trump. So there were 20 plus New Yorkers who voted to indict Donald Trump. And after he was indicted, then a petit jury or a trial jury in the Supreme Court of New York picked 12 people, picked from a pool of 300 or 400, who said they could be fair and impartial and unbiased, will have ruled. Now, just to remind you of the timeline for the upcoming week, we've got deliberation, we've got jury charged, the jury being charged likely on Tuesday or Wednesday, the closing arguments or summation of both sides, defense going first, prosecution going second, will start on Tuesday. Should take up a lot of Tuesday, including with the lunch break. Let's assume an hour, maybe 2 hours for the defense, 2 to 3 hours for the prosecution. They got to walk through 20 different witnesses that testified for the prosecution, talk about pieces of evidence, text messages, payroll records, checks, ledgers, audio recordings, book excerpts from Donald Trump. They have a lot of evidence to remind the jury about that's important to their case. So that could take 3 or 4 hours. So you're looking at a full day of probably jury, summations and closing arguments. Then the jury usually doesn't work. The court doesn't work on Wednesdays, but deliberations will happen on Wednesday this week. So they'll have it on Wednesday. And given the way that New York, sort of a clunky way that New York requires the jury to obtain information that they have requested, it could take not just all of Wednesday, it could take all of Thursday and maybe Friday. We'll have to see how that works. Because when the jury wants to hear transcripts or a certain excerpt from witness testimony, they can't just get the transcript, even though there is a daily transcript. A court reporter has to come in and has to find that portion that they want, has to be read to them. It's a whole process that takes a lot of time. It's not like, here's an app, push a button, here's the transcript. If they want a piece of evidence, they can either ask for all of the evidence, just piles of it in the room, physical evidence, or they can ask for pieces of evidence, and then there's a process. It has to be picked up, it has to be delivered, it has to be brought to the jury has to read it, and all of that. Then there's the communications from the jury out to the judge, right? Notes that the jury will send, have questions that need to be answered, and the judge will then convene back the lawyers who hang around in the beginning, but as the thing stretches out 6, 7, 8, 9 days, sometimes they leave. It's not a fun courtroom to hang around. They usually stay. They'll be texted by the courtroom clerks and courtroom deputies to come back. There's a question. Then they have to reconvene. So like every time there's a question, it's like an hour and a half process. Usually the judge says, stay around, don't go that far away. Todd Blanche and his crew have been going to 40 Wall Street around the corner, which Trump owns. One of the buildings is part of the Attorney General fraud case, ironically. That's where they have sort of their war room. So it's not that far. Take a bit, take them 10 minutes, 15 minutes, get back to the courtroom. Every time there's a question, it's another 45 minutes to an hour event, which stretches out the day. And when there's a question, there's a buzzer. The jury buzzes, and the bailiff goes in and finds out what's going on for the jury foreperson. They have a question, they want a piece of evidence, whatever. The lawyers reconvene with the judge. They decide, they hear what the information being requested is. It goes back into the room and they continue. And it's, and so we get some communication, we get some understanding about what the jury is focused on by the way they ask questions, the questions that they ask, which we'll know about, and the evidence that they want to have brought into them or replayed for them, and all of that. And we'll try to figure it out from there. I mean, it's not like, selecting the Pope, where you don't know till you see the white smoke. You don't know if there's what's going on behind closed doors. Here you do get a sense of that kind of level of communication with the jury until you get double buzzer, and we got a verdict. And then there's a mad scramble, especially if they've been going at it for 8, 10, 12, 14 hours. Of course, the lawyers might be, who knows where they are, getting a cup of coffee. They won't be still in bed, but they'll be geeked up. And I've been geeked up waiting for jury verdicts. It's very harrowing. It's very stress-inducing, regardless of which side you're on. And then you hear the jury verdict is back. You reconvene. Lawyers come back. The jury comes back into the box, and they read the verdict aloud, or the clerk reads the verdict aloud. And there we have it. Judge usually admonishes people not to act out or yell out, especially Donald Trump or his lawyers about it, and that he'll clear the courtroom if that were to happen. And then if he's adjudged and the verdict comes back guilty, he'll be released on his own recognizance and have to come back for sentencing in a couple of months. So he'll be able to return to the campaign trail, and for the July Republican National Convention in Milwaukee, but he will have been a convicted person, and that's where the Biden campaign team rightfully will start arguing that he is convicted Donald J. Trump, and polls demonstrate that may be the last straw for at least 1, 2, or 3% of the population that votes that no, I'm not voting for an elected, I'm not voting to elect a felon. And that might be just enough, frankly, in a very close election where you have these third-party candidates to ensure Joe Biden's reelection. We'll follow it all right here on the MeidasTouch Network and on this YouTube channel, and on Legal AF every Wednesday and Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and on YouTube and on podcast platforms of your choice. If you like what I'm doing, I'm Michael Popok. Leave me a thumbs up and a message, and I've been known to communicate back. We'll do like a talk back. And it also helps with the algorithm, tells the algorithmic gods that you like this particular type of content. And then you can slide over to the MeidasTouch YouTube channel and look for Michael Popok under contributors and playlists, and you'll find me there as well. So until my next hot take, until my next Legal AF, this is Michael Popok reporting.
Real quick, Meta just changed their algorithm to suppress political content. Please follow our Instagram at MeidasTouch right now as we head towards 400,000 followers so you don't miss a beat.